In its ongoing lawsuit against Ripple, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has filed an appeal. The petition contests a July 2023 court ruling that partially rejected some of the accusations. Attorney Jeremy Hogan clarified during his discussion of the appeal that the Securities and Exchange Commission is contesting just one specific finding, which is that XRP was not considered a security when it was made available to private investors on exchanges. The SEC does not dispute the accuracy of the judgment that no investors were affected. The SEC's brief has problems. Hogan claims that a large amount of the SEC's brief is merely a repetition of the lower court's earlier rulings. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has asked the appellate court to find that it does not need to provide proof that XRP buyers were aware of Ripple's attempts to raise the price of XRP. To support its stance, the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, points to 3 earlier cases. Hogan, however, argues that the SEC's viewpoint is not supported by these cases. The SEC's argument will probably be contested by Ripple. Hogan expects that Ripple will provide a strong refutation of the SEC's reasoning in its answer. Hogan asserts that in order for the SEC to make it work, it must combine remarks from different parts of the case, and even then they do not align well with Ripple's situation. The SEC has the strongest case for support in the Aquasonic case. One of the missed chances for the SEC to provide proof. Hogan also finds it strange that the Securities and Exchange Commission ignored the testimony of XRP consumers who were not aware of Ripple's actions, particularly in light of the hundreds of testimonies that lawyer John Deaton submitted. In the long run, the SEC's case might suffer if they don't dispute this evidence. The possible consequences of the appeal, should it be granted, could place the Securities and Exchange Commission in a challenging situation, since they would need to prove that clients were aware of Ripple's promotional activity. This would be a challenging and time-consuming process for them to complete. Additionally, this appeal might provide Ripple the chance to present new arguments about the nature of an investment contract, which could strengthen their case. In the appeal against Ripple, the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, has filed its opening brief, which is the latest development in the XRP lawsuit. Reversing the 2023 ruling that XRP is not a security is the SEC's objective. Analysts think that Donald Trump's intention to reorganize the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, could increase the prospects for SRP, which recently hit $3 for the first time since 2018. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, filed appeal arguments on January 15th in response to a federal court ruling that ruled overwhelmingly against the agency. This action escalates the current legal battle between Ripple Labs and the SEC. The appeal aims to challenge the 2023 ruling by Judge Annalisa Torres that Ripple's native cryptocurrency, XRP, is not a security, at least with regard to digital asset exchanges' programmatic sales. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, argued in its appeal to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals that the lower court's ruling that sales of XRP to retail investors did not qualify as securities offers was wrong. This was one of the SEC's grounds in the appeal. According to the agency, the court's differentiation between institutional and retail sales complicates the application of the Howey test, a legal criterion used to determine whether a transaction satisfies the requirements for an investment contract and is thus a security. Important factors like the amount of money spent, the expectation of profits, and the extent of reliance on the work of a promoter or third party are all taken into account during the Howey test. Given that Ripple's business operations and marketing strategies may have led these investors to expect a return, the regulator underlined that Ripple had broken securities laws by selling $2 billion worth of XRP to ordinary customers. Furthermore, the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, revealed that XRP tokens that were given out as employee compensation or in business dealings were mistakenly excluded from the securities category. The Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, filed a request asking the appeals court to reverse Judge Torres's decision and declare all XRP transactions to be unregistered securities offerings. An upgraded judgment against Ripple would result from this if it were successful. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, first brought legal action against Ripple Labs in December 2020, alleging that the company had sold XRP in an unregistered securities offering. There is opposition to the SEC appeal. In an ex-post, Stuart Alderodi, the chief legal officer at Ripple, dismissed the SEC's arguments as being unnecessary and expressed hope that the government that will soon take office would likely abandon the litigation. He called the lawsuit background noise and highlighted Ripple's optimism about the dawn of a new, innovation-friendly regulatory environment. Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, also expressed his displeasure with the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, in a January 15th article, accusing the watchdog of repeating strategies that haven't worked in the past. Both leaders are still confident that Ripple will win, despite the fact that the incoming administration is exploring different regulatory measures. Gary Gensler's 4-year tenure as the Securities and Exchange Commission chair is set to end on January 20th, the day of Donald Trump's inauguration. A number of the Securities and Exchange Commission's ongoing cases against Bitcoin companies may be dropped by the incoming administration, which is expected to be headed by Paul Atkins and take over as chair. Nearing its all-time high of $3.40, which was reached 7 years ago, XRP is now trading at $3. This is the outcome of the events that have transpired. In the last 24 hours, the value of the token has increased by 7.87%, and in the last week, it has increased by 33%. Right now, it is just $9.49 lower than its peak. The outstanding price performance of XRP is a reflection of growing investor confidence in the cryptocurrency, notwithstanding the ongoing legal dispute with the SEC. The district court erred when it determined that, based on Ripple's open assertions that it would raise the price of digital currency, ordinary investors did not have a reasonable expectation of gains. Regarding secondary sales in particular, the SEC said that the requirement that retail investors be aware that they are buying from the issuer or its affiliates compromises the safeguards provided by the federal securities law for offers and sales that issuers make indirectly through intermediaries. According to the statement, a lawyer who supports cryptocurrencies said he didn't like the SEC's brief, calling it dull and overly centered on restating the trial court verdict.